Order of business is the minutes from the past meeting. Any changes or corrections?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2 is the claims. Everyone had a chance to review them? And I think you want to pass them around, Neil?
I'll move to approve the claims in the amount of $676,712.84.
Is there a second? Any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, excuse me.
Bernard.
Yes.
Morissette.
Yes.
Vanslo. Burchell.
Yes. Application for operator's license in front of you is an approved list from 9/7/11 to 6/30/13. If there's there's 8 individuals there. We have a motion to approve those. They've all been approved by the chief of police and reviewed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have temporary license to be used September 23rd through the 25th, 2011 at St. Patrick's Fall Festival to, again, there's 5 people there. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then at the, next, we have an issuance of temporary operator's license to be used October 21st, 2011 at the CCH Annual Wine Fest.
Move to approve.
There's 2 individuals there. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Did we miss the September 17th? Did we miss the September?
Full because the license that's associated with it, the beer license, didn't meet the 5-day requirement, so we'll be talking about that later. I've got a special meeting.
Okay.
No, that's next.
Next on the agenda, we have a application of St. Patrick's Church for a temporary Class B retailer license to sell beer and wine September 23rd through the 25th, 2011 at the annual Fall Festival, 1500 Vine Street. I believe we've had this for at least 4 to 5 years. Does anyone have any questions?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Application of Christian Community Campus Foundation for a temporary Class B retailer license to sell wine October 21st, 2011 at the annual Wine Fest, 1312 Wisconsin Street. I believe we've had that before also. Anybody have any questions about that? Or I should have a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, review bids and award contracts for the 2011 Pathway Improvement Project for Whitecamp Park and Lakefront Park. Dennis, are you going to lead us in that? Or Tom? Who's ever wants to talk about it?
Sure. I believe you have in front of you a letter tabulating the bids on the project, and we combine the bituminous pathways at Whitecamp Park along with the pathway improvements proposed at the beach house. And we made the northeast trail in Whitecamp the base bid and the others alternates, so the council can add the alternates as they see fit. As you can see, the bids for the various sections came in. Summarized in the letter, totaling Whitecamp Park totaled about, for the different bids, somewhere between 72 and 79,000, and Lakefront Park came in between 56 and 70,000. One thing to note on Lakefront by the bathhouse is that we proposed a concrete section sidewalk reinforced where it's been eroding by the beach area with some sheet piling on the riverside. And it's tipped back to keep water from draining over the edge to hopefully provide a more permanent solution. I know the budget on that was significantly less than that, but that's the design that we put out there for bid. I talked to Tom about that prior to doing it, and we knew it was going to come in higher than the budget. So the council can select None of it, the base bid by itself or the base bid and any combination of alternatives it wishes to move forward with.
Can we get a little back, can we take them separately? Whitecamp Park. Tom, this is a recommendation from the park board to do this? Okay. Were we planning to keep those trails open during the wintertime and have to shovel those paths?
We can, I know that
Base bid, alternate one, alternate two.
as part of the park, there is a portion of that park that's designated for a sliding hill. So we kept the upper trail beyond that sliding hill, so we could, if we did clean it, the people would have better access to use that park in the winter also.
Is that the alternative two there up in that area? Is that the one you would,
Yes.
that's the upper trail?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've got a copy of it.
You guys have the
Yeah.
copy of this?
Tom, are these from impact fees, trust funds?
Yes.
Are these on a use it or lose it right now?
No.
Will they ever be?
I don't believe so.
I think these are from park dedication fees, not impact fees. And I believe because they're park dedication fees, they're not subject to the 7-year time limit.
Okay.
And they're not maybe subject to that location, or are they?
It's gotta be in.
South of the freeway.
Outside of 94.
Right.
Both of these projects have additional funding that need to be determined?
Well,
And
I
I
think we
think,
know where the funding's gonna come from. It's just that they're over the budget that we had projected for these projects.
Right, the 50,000 that was budgeted to come from the park dedication fee, so the decision is whether or not you want to do all of it. Remove additional funds from the
What's
dedication
the
fee.
total that's in that fund, do we know?
For White Camp, there's 163,000, and then for Lakefront, there's 131 available. However, for Lakefront, 35 of the bid was to come out of the notes that were sold.
Okay. So,
We put a
Right, so for Lakefront, the original plan was just gonna come out in bonding, there was no.
right, but we could use some of the remaining 131,000 of lakefront
Could,
dedication
correct.
fees
To do the
for the
project.
balance of that
You
project.
could, yes.
Okay.
And there are funds, the 163,000 we could use if we wanted to finish all the trails.
Go ahead.
I just want to put it out there. It's just, perception's reality. Everybody's struggling right now. And I understand that the money's there. But for us to go and start building these, is it a need or a want? I'm not opposed to it. I think the park board's done their due diligence. But what would it look like outside of this room and these other committee meetings for us to be spending this money in somewhat of a frivolous way?
It does have to be spent on park projects.
Right, and I guess what I'm wondering, in line with that thinking, is what other competing needs are there up at White Camp? What other, you guys have talked about a skating rink or shelter, or, I'm just wondering, are we spending money that might be better spent in another way?
You have anything else from the park board that, on the horizon?
Well, the next big item would be Burton Field, which is, the different fund A, north side of 94.
When we built the shelter, I was on the park board at the time. There was supposed to be retrofitted for a warming house in that shelter, and it is not, right?
There are doorways installed in the shelter, so it can be.
But in the bid specific, and you can look later, I'm not going to argue the point, it wasn't done the
No.
way the park board wanted it done for the warming house because of the future hockey rink that was being proposed, or ice skating rink. Do you recall that?
They built it so you can do it in the future, was the idea behind it. Is it ready to go right at the moment? No.
Oh, we'd
Well,
have
it's
to
for
enclose
future
the-
purposes.
Yep.
That's why we put the 2 doors in.
Wow.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I don't want to argue the point, but I'd like to see the exact bid from what was supposed to be done up there.
Sure.
Because I know it was a point of the park board at the time to make it retrofit for heating, so we wouldn't have to spend any more money than we had to when that came up.
So Tom, can you think of anything else up at White Camp? You know, that might be competing for these dollars?
I guess not at the moment, but, just the times that, I think there is a lot of people that walk up there. I think it was in the plan from the start to have walking trails through this, park and through this area. I have seen many people walking way on top. I think it'd be a great addition to the park.
And then I want to ask one other question about the paths, and I'm not against paths, because I do a lot of hiking. Is there anything else we could do other than bituminous? Something a little
Well,
more,
and we did bid it out. We were considering just, talking about just putting gravel at one time, and then you have, we do have a lot of hills in that area, then you have continual maintenance with gravel, washouts. We just did this path up at the Lookout Point. We did that this year, redid it, and put gravel down there. Even the heavy rains we had, and that's a fairly flat surface, has washouts, so whenever you have gravel, you're gonna have a lot of maintenance.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions?
one more.
Okay,
I thought that was my last one. Is the park board okay dipping into the dedication fees to this degree? Do we know?
I assume this is recommended from the park board, or,
well, they approved the whole, the plan and the, concept.
But they haven't seen these costs, or,
We just opened bids last week, so last Thursday, right? So I don't know if we notified them.
because I think that's, I guess I'd like to get some input from them as far as if they're comfortable spending that much. It's significantly more than was planned. I'm not trying to delay it, but
When do they meet again, Tom?
Next week, 13th.
And these are 30 days, right, Dennis, normally? 30, 60, okay.
because my inclination right now is, it's to do the lakefront bathhouse path and get that done properly, and to maybe just do alternate one. No, I take that back, and just do the White Camp Northeast area.
We'd have to go with the base bid, right?
That's the.
We'd have to go with the
base
base bid and then do alternate
bid. 3.
well, do you want to wait until, see what the park board says? Because
We'd also be taking funds from the Zone A as well, so they may have input on that for lakefront.
well, I can just give you my 2 cents. We've been talking about that path at least 5 years, maybe 4, down on Lakefront Park.
Lakefront.
And we need to fix
That's kind of a
that.
safety hazard issue.
We need to fix that. Randy, I don't know what you,
Absolutely, we need to do it right.
yep.
Do it right the first
And I think, we have control over the funds, and so that one has to get done, in my opinion. We've delayed and delayed long enough, and we've, again, tried to patch meal it, and it just doesn't work.
We can take that separate, right?
But don't we get a better price if we put them all together
Well,
overall?
I mean, if you look at the whole package, then you can add any number or any combination of 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just my thought. I don't know what anyone else is thinking, but I'd like to get some input from the park board, because I
On
feel
the
like we're
alternates.
spending their,
On the alternate.
and what,
I'd like to move, sorry,
no, it's okay.
I'd like to move Lakefront ahead though.
But you have to do the base
we
bid.
can't, yeah. I mean, this isn't gonna, it's not gonna significantly delay the project, will it? They're not gonna start until, well, I suppose they wanna know.
Time is somewhat of the
Yeah.
essence because of the time of the year, but it could be, you know, if it goes back to the park board, they would have to come back to the next council.
Well,
17th.
I'm okay with your proposal, Lori, as long as we do alternate 3 on
mhm.
the lakefront back.
I'm just wondering, is there any way we can accept the base bid and alternate 3? And then wait to see what the park board says about alternate 1 and 2?
I think you should do it all at
it's
once
afraid to
because it
say.
might make a difference.
Difference on who gets the
Various
bid.
combinations of
Yeah.
Yeah.
base and alternate.
And we meet again on the 20th? 19th?
Yeah,
Yep,
so
19th.
it's,
So we could have the park board input by the 19th?
Mhm.
I sense you guys aren't wanting to wait.
I'm a little nervous, just the timing is getting really close. Usually we cut off the asphalt paving until, about, I think it's specs say October 15th, but that's all weather dependent.
Well, I'd be willing to make a motion just to accept the total base bid for the white camp and then alternate 3. I think that Zappa came in about 1,500 less, or more, I'm sorry, 1,500 more than Pember for those two together. I mean, we can have some discussion there. Zappa is local, and it's within the, if my math is right, it's within the 2%.
you can't favor local contractors anymore. The budget repair bill, new legislation prohibited that.
It undid our,
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Good try.
German policy.
okay. Well,
I'd like to just wait and let the park board give some input to it and then discuss this again at the 19th meeting with the park board input and do the whole thing at one time.
I'm reluctant to wait, Rich.
If you've got a motion, I'll second it, but I do want to talk about who we award the bid to.
Well, what was your motion to accept it?
Well, I didn't name a contractor.
I think we
just
have to
said
go with
I-
the low bidder. Right,
Yeah.
Catherine?
Yeah,
Correct.
lowest responsible bidder.
Even if we have a history in the past of what they've done and whatnot, whether we were satisfied with the work that they've done
Okay.
on that ground.
There is room for judgment in that regard, but it's always subject to challenge. I mean, if you have
I-
specific
I certainly think
problems with the
we had
previous,
issues
your
with Pepper
history.
during our 11th Street project, not to interrupt you, but, and I was not at all happy with the service.
Crestview also,
And Crestview.
turn signals.
That 3-lane signal was a nightmare for us, and it dragged on and on and on. And I don't want to go through that with them. And I don't believe, since I've been on the council, that I've had issues with others, but specifically Pemper. So I would be in favor of awarding it to the next lowest, which would be Zappa. On that basis.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second it.
Okay, it's been second. For the 132,300,
No, it'd be 81, 543.50 is what I came up with. For the alternate 1, for the base plus alternate 3 is what you're saying,
Correct.
right, Randy?
Correct.
can I ask a question? Why we wouldn't approve alternate 1 and alternate 2, or we're not going to do those, or?
You might be in a position of getting an overall lower price.
Correct.
I just think it's not a need. It's a want or need. Is it overall part of the comprehensive park plan, Danny, you know? Privy to that?
Dennis, you got something you'd like to say?
Well, just a thought, if there's concern about the budget and the need for all 3 sections, you could award the base bid and lakefront and rebid those other 2 areas next year if you want to get park board input, and the cost might be in the ballpark, maybe just a little bit higher if there's less quantities, but that's an option.
What's your pleasure? We had a motion, I guess, and a second for base bid plus White Camp Park, or plus Lakefront Park, correct?
Just a clarification, did the park board recommend that these projects go out to bid for
Yes.
this year?
Yes, I believe so.
Would you conclude from that that those were projects they had prioritized?
I wasn't at the park board meeting, sorry.
I mean, it just seems like they moved this project forward, I assume.
I think the issue here was, I think it came in a lot higher than we anticipated.
Well, then the fact is, just because we have the money there, do we need to spend it right away? I mean, is there a perception there that we're just doing this stuff just because we've got the money? What's wrong with the rainy day account? If it's not in jeopardy of use it or lose it, why are we throwing this money at a pathway?
Well, at this time, we have a motion and a second for a base bid on Whitecamp Park for $21,346 and Lakefront for $60,197.50. Is that correct? Is there any other discussion?
They need to explain why they're not taking the low bid.
No.
on the
Well, I
motion.
think you did explain you're not satisfied with the previous performance of Pember on previous city public works contracts, and there's been delays and not.
What is
had a
the
budget
difference then?
response.
$1,500 bucks?
15.
14.
$1,400.
14, 15.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on this? Mary, would you like to add something? Okay.
Randy's point to $50,000 makes sense. I was just curious if we have, I think, $160,000 in park impact fees for the south end of Hudson. And if I don't know when we lose those fees, if it's coming up or not. We don't lose them?
Fees, they're not impact.
No, not the dedication fees, impact fees.
Don't have any
Don't
for the
have
park.
any.
For the
These are
park.
dedication.
They're
fees.
all dedication fees? Oh, well then, forget my thought.
Well, the only thing I would ask is it possible that we could come back and add these other two if we get input from the park board?
Certainly.
You
I
know,
think
is
we
there any
can.
chance on the 19th we could say we've got input from the park board and we'd like to add them in, or is that just messy?
Catherine, do you know what
Contractuals?
the limits are for adding or subtracting dollar amounts, I think, from projects? There's
Well, this was all bid out.
right.
I mean, if you did that, you'd be going with, you'd be awarding the same contract. I think on all the other ones, isn't Zappa the lowest bid?
If you add them all
Slightly
together, Pember, if you add all four pieces,
There's about
Oh,
a
I see.
$1,400
Okay.
difference.
so it's the same scenario that
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Doesn't change.
I want to say 10%, but I don't know for certain.
But like you said, as long as it's been bid, I think you could probably award the two and then get input on the other two alternatives.
It'd be the same analysis, lowest responsible bid.
Yep, and the bids are good for at least 30.
60, I believe.
Okay. So we can, Tom, if you can go back to park board next week and get their input on the other alternate 1 and 2 and see what they think. Is that okay with everyone here? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, review bids and award contract for Grandview Park Stormwater Sewer Improvements Project.
This one's much cleaner. One project, one storm sewer. The low bid came in at $44,018 from Zappa Brothers, and there was $60,000 budgeted out of impact fees. And again, if the council wishes to proceed, then Zappa would be the lowest responsible bidder of the four.
And they can-
This is a project now that'll come out of our storm, or our impact fees, correct?
Yep.
I'll move to approve the low bidder, Zappa Brothers, at $44,018.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Metals, I know that it's crossed off the agenda, but the metal stairways, did we not get any bids on those? Can I talk about it even though it's crossed off? No, we can't talk about it, huh?
Can I talk about
Okay.
Okay.
What if I have an agenda that isn't crossed off? No. Application of Robert S. Anderson for taxi cab driver's license, Kilimanjaro Taxi Service. It's all been checked out by our chief of police.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Application of Gary D. Anderson for amusement device owner's license, DBA Twin City States Music, 1811 O'Keefe Road, permits for 86 amusement devices.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Request for change of agent for liquor license for La Festa Mexicana, 1801 Ward Avenue, number 240 in Plaza 94. Nancy, this is just a change of agents?
Yes, it is just a standard agent change. Their previous agent is no longer working there, so they had
Okay.
to appoint a new one.
All right.
Move for approval of the agent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Requests for designation as community events. Nancy, you want to stay up and talk about this?
Yeah, there's a request for various community event designations from, what is your organization? Is it the?
There's two different groups.
Okay, well, Evie is here, and she'd like to share some information.
I catch you off guard, Nancy? Abby, why don't you, we have, what, 4 events?
Great, thank you. Evie Nervin here on behalf of the Celebrate the Holidays Committee, excuse me, for Christmas activities in Hudson and for Hudson Hot Air Fair, Inc. for the 2012 Hudson Hot Air Fair. The Celebrate the Holidays Committee would like to seek approval for the 3 events that have traditionally been held in Hudson celebrating the holiday season. Light Up Night, which is Friday night, November 25th. The Candlelight Stroll, which is Friday night, December 2nd. And Reindeer in the Park, which is Saturday, December 3rd. And the Hot Air Fair would like to request approval for the 2012 event, which will be February 3rd, 4th, and 5th this year. Our new theme, 23rd Annual Hot Air Fair, it's going to be the Chinese New Year, 2012, the Year of the Dragon.
Okay. And if we approve it as a community event, they would allow each event to exempt the direct seller's application process, and they're able to get more vendors, greater variety of vendors then.
So this is just a recommendation for this calendar year?
Correct?
For those events.
Yes. I'll move for approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Authorization to enter an agreement to utilize RBC Wealth Management as an investment advisor. Neil?
The city currently uses about 5 other investment advisors, or 4 other investment advisors. And I would like to add to that number by 1. RBC they've come in and talked to me, and I think the level of service they seem to offer is a little bit more proactive than some of the other people that we've dealt with in terms of keeping tabs on what's out there. So I would seek to move forward with this. The one thing in talking with Catherine about this, there was a designation of investment firms that the city could use that was done, I believe, in 1998. And since that point in time, a couple of those have gone through a couple name changes or whatnot. So the thought being that we would also bring a resolution forward at the next meeting designating those as firms that we could deal with for the purchase of, generally, these are government securities that we would purchase.
Have you used these folks before, Neil?
Have not used RBC before.
Okay.
So no reference.
Pardon?
No reference.
There are a number of other communities that I'm familiar with who have used them in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So you'd bring it back at the next meeting?
Yes.
With the updated resolution and investment policy, and there were blanks in the agreement that needed to be filled in to make sure that the
Right, and the-
investments are limited to those authorized by Wisconsin law and the city's investment policy.
Does that fulfill your needs?
That fulfills my needs.
Okay.
So
Yep.
it'll come back to you.
Okay.
Any other issues for finance? Lori?
So, were we gonna talk about,
The Hockey Association, the application came through, it was 5 business days, not 5 days, so we will have to have a special meeting. Hey, did we hear back from them at all, Nancy, whether they, we assume they'll wanna have a special meeting and pay for it, so, but we could not act on this tonight because it didn't meet the number of days that we're required to have it on file. So that's why it was pulled from the agenda, and those 3 operators licenses were also pulled.
okay.
Anything for future agenda items? Okay,
I want to revisit the issue of automation of the phones and incoming calls. I think there's a lot of potential for greater efficiency with an automated system. So I'd like to talk about, I don't know if Mike can look at capability of the system and,
I think when we did the upgrade, I think we have that capability.
yeah, I was under that impression.
So I will follow up with Mike
Okay.
and see what the cost would be. Because I know we got several new phones when we got the new connectivity between the 2 buildings.
And I'm thinking even just starting within this building.
Right.
For, just a starting point.
Okay.
Then the second thing is I'd like our cell phone plans reviewed, kind of a comprehensive look. And Devin, I know you did it a couple years back, but I think, so much has changed. I'd like some idea of, is there a way to consolidate some of our services, our cell phone services?
I know that a couple of years ago, last year and a half, Public Works got on a new plan where they got a bundled group of minutes instead of having so many, at least they had it at that point. Instead of so many minutes per phone, they got it bundled.
Yeah.
But I'll follow up, and I know Kathy was talking about it today, they were following up to find out, who was on what plan, and
I don't know, did we bid that out at some point, or if we didn't, we need to. We spend a lot of money on cell phones.
I think there is a state contract that we can piggyback on for cell phone coverage or for
Okay.
cell phone service.
But right now, I know some of the departments use Verizon, some use Nextel, I believe,
I mean,
so that's,
do we have a cell phone policy? Who gets a cell phone, or is it just,
what kind and,
do we have any iPhones out there? Does
Yes.
anybody? We do.
oh.
Your agenda.
yep, your
Okay.
agenda, yes, but
So,
I will
but those are the
follow,
things I want
okay,
looked at.
I will follow up with Mike
And in
on that.
addition to the cell phones, our landlines.
Okay, yep,
And then the last thing is, and I know we've talked about in the past, car rental.
yep, I pulled
Potential,
up,
okay.
I found the information on that.
Okay, and like, the county does have a
Yep.
plan, we might be able to sneak on with them.
Yep.
So those,
Those 3 things?
Yeah.
You got those down, you will put them on for next time? Anything else? Rich? Randy?
No, move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Thank you.